What's next in the Wonderbox? So we've had 2 lovely memories thus far.
Yes. So 2 of them
We've been in the realm of childhood thus far.
2 of them are memories. This one is also a feeling, but it's not a memory. No, actually, that sounds like it's never happened to me before. Let me tell you what it is. Mm-hmm. It's and you, I hope, will relate to this. The feeling that you get when you tell the first joke at a show and you get a laugh that tells you if the show's going to be good or not.
Mm.
And you know, right, okay, this is going to be a good one.
Yeah, it's a bit. I know what you mean. It's that feeling of like, it feels a bit like, you know, when you got a creme brulee and you tap it with your spoon and you just feel that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Or like a new coffee granules and you just.
Yeah, well, the way that because I'm not a stand-up, I do improv shows and I'm an actor, and so.
But you don't do that on your own.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
But when I do theatre, when I do plays, and I know that, like, right, this is the bit that is meant to be this is the first funny joke of the bit. Yeah.
It's such a funny thing with like improv. Or certainly from my experience, it's never as quick as you think it is. Yeah. When you watch it back, it always takes me about 10 minutes to get to the funny bit. But do you know what I mean? Where you kind of go, right. But I think if you can just squish it.
Well, I've always been an improviser. That was my first thing. Like when I was trying to get into youth theatre Royal Stratford East, I went there when I was 10 and they were like, we don't accept anyone until 11. And I was like, but please. And I got in, I got on the waiting list and then I managed to get in at 11. But they were doing a show called Junior Blaggers. And the original Blaggers had like Roger Griffiths and Richard Blackwood, Curtis Walker, all of those guys doing like an improv show. And then they created Junior Blaggers, which was the same thing but younger.
And what kind of improv was that?
It was like short form games.
So a bit like Whose Line Is It Anyway type vibe.
That sort of vibe, yeah. So it was short form games, and it's the stuff that I really wanted to do, and I auditioned, I didn't get in, and then I auditioned like a year later, and I got in, and we did a show at Jongleurs. But So this is when I was like 13.
So that would be like, let's say 200, 300 people.
Yeah.
In the audience, who would come to that? Was that kind of
there was a lot of parents and family, but there was also like just paying customers that just wanted to come and see kids do comedy.
So what does that feel like, age 13, getting a laugh from a crowd? That must have felt electric.
Yeah, but it's all I'd ever wanted. From when I did the nativity play when I was 4, I was like, I want to...
This is it.
Yeah, I want to get those laughs. I want to like get a response from an audience. So like those shows, and I've always done like other like smaller improv shows, but now that I've got my own show called Story Bro, it's a show about the audience, and the audience tell us stories, and then we improvise based on the stories that we've been told.
Oh, that's cool.
But I come out and do the first 5 minutes, and I'm not a stand-up, but I'll just come out and start chatting to an audience member. And usually I'll have like something to fall back on in case like that chat is not going well. But from the first sort of laugh that you get from the room, you know, okay, this is what they like. Then I'll bring out the 4 other improvisers.
Right.
So there's 5 of us in total.
Yeah.
Then I'll bring out a special guest, and the special guest starts talking to a member of the audience about a story. So someone tell me something that's happened in their life, or someone tell me something that's happened today.
Yes.
Or you look like you got a story, or has anyone got a story about romance, or whichever way the special guest wants to do it, they get a story out of someone from the audience.
Yeah.
And then we, the 5 improvisers, will start improvising scenes based on what we've been told. So we won't act out their story.
Yeah.
But we'll do versions of, or we'll do it from the angle that we find the funniest.
Yeah.
For example, we had a girl that was in the audience that told us a story about when she moved to Manchester Uni, and it was her first week there, and her other housemates had left, and she opened the cupboard, and there was a snake in the kitchen cupboard. And it was a Sunday evening, and she didn't know what to do. She tried to call RSPCA, and they were like, cool, our line's open at 8 a.m. on Monday. And so she called her mum. Her mum told her to call a plumber. She called a plumber. A plumber came round.
It feels like that poem. There was an old lady that lived in a field. It keeps going on. Yeah.
A plumber ccame round with a machete.
Fucking Nora.
Who said he was just going to chop
the snake up. Yeah.
And
it feels like a dark web porno.
Doesn't
it? Do you know what I mean?
I haven't even got to the bit where she had to go and check into a motel because they lost the snake. her and the plumber lost the snake. They couldn't find it. So she was like, I'm not sleeping there. As a uni student, didn't have much money, so she had to go and she found like the cheapest hotel in Manchester.
Yeah.
Also realised that one of her housemates was in the house, but just hadn't come out of their room. Told him, and then him and her went and stayed in the motel for the night.
What,
not
the
really
electrician?
knowing each other. No, him and
I see.
her and the other housemate.
Yeah.
So like we get a story like that, and then we do it from like the angle of like,
What was your angle? Because I'd come at that from the role of the snake.
right,
Like, do you know what I mean? I find that really, really interesting. Of like, and it's forever like, why does everyone hate me?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because that poor fucker's done nothing wrong.
Well, we went from the angle of the plumber,
Yeah.
who'd who'd not been paying attention at plumber school and
Yes.
thought like,
Yeah.
well, pipes are like snakes. Snakes are pipe shaped.
Yeah, exactly. If you got a problem, stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's like loads of different ways to come into the story, and you do loads of different scenes based on that. So we do it like that, and but it's very dependent on if the audience are up for it.
Yeah,
which
so
they
it's
always
very
have been.
Yeah. It's nice though, eh? So it's very much kind of, particularly with something like that. Presumably, if someone has a tedious story, it's just a bit like,
A guy told us about when he went to a wedding and spilt some wine. That was the story.
yeah. So then it becomes about like the dullest wedding ever.
Yeah,
Fine.
yeah. Well,
And then
it was about someone having the confidence to tell a story, because it turned out that he was the boyfriend of the girl who told the first story. We do three stories a show.
Yeah.
And the girl who told the first story about how she learned to tap dance on Zoom.
Okay, well, that works.
That was great.
Mm-hmm.
But then he told the story later, and we're like, how are you a couple when you know what a good story is and you don't have a clue? And so it became about that. So it's
And are you doing that at this year's Edinburgh?
Yeah. So I'm doing
great.
that 15th to the 21st at the Fringe this year.
Exciting.
It's a late one, 11:30.
Oh, she is late.
Yeah.
So does that help or hinder?
I think, I haven't done it this late before. Last year we did it at 10. Yeah.
So presumably that gets going and it's nice and raucous.
Yeah. And also because, so I've been doing improv for a long time, but I realised that some of my friends just don't believe it. They don't believe that it's made up. And a lot of people, and I realised that, it's not just my friends that think that. Like a lot of people just in general are like, but they practice that stuff before and then they just find a way to put it in.
It's funny, isn't it, how like whenever something really kicks off at a gig, it's a plant.
Yeah.
It's a plant. And you're like, well, it's not, is it? It's just it's just about having the confidence to be calm in that moment. There's a brilliant improvising comedian called Phil Kay, Scottish guy, who's one of the kings of it, and he gave me a bit of advice when I was 21. He sort of said, always listen to what people say, because there will always be a hole in it, or there will always be something, rather than as a stand-up you hear an interjection. There's very much this attack, but if you really listen to what they'll say, it always opens up, and it's just about being calm enough to be in the moment and go, hang on, so you went to a wedding and someone spilled what, and then and then just open it up, and that's the highlight or whatever it may be.
Yeah.